Establishing regional trade blocs was born out of a need for collaboration and economic stability. After World War II, Europe formed the European Union to prevent conflicts and boost trade through economic integration. In America, agreements like NAFTA, now USMCA, address trade barriers, creating a framework for shared prosperity. These organizations substantially improved market access, economic cooperation, and industrial growth, fostering stability and wealth. In Africa, however, the story has been different. Despite abundant resources, the continent remains largely import-dependent, relying on foreign goods and services to meet domestic needs. This has weakened local industries, led to trade imbalances, and exposed economies to external shocks such as currency fluctuations and global supply chain disruptions. High import dependency hampers job creation, stifles innovation, and leaves African nations vulnerable to economic instability.
Africa can rise and Africa will rise. But it's not going to rise by prayer and fasting. We must pray and fast, but it will not happen. Because the last time I checked, even those of you are believers, when Abraham was taken from Ur of the Chaldeans and given Canaan, it was not on a silver platter. He had to fight the Canaanites. He had to fight the Philistines. That is the nature of divine instruction. Go ye and subdue the world by the sweat of thy brow. The kitchen where they make manna was closed. Manna will no longer come, because you must now make your manna. And it is our duty, therefore, as Africans, to begin to rethink the younger generation. You know, there is a saying in Chichewa in Malawi, that more precious than our children are our children's children. So when we are doing these things, we must remind ourselves that we are doing for this generation and generations yet to be born.
Across the African continent, a bold and transformative vision is taking shape. A vision to unite markets, catalyze economic growth, and empower nations. This is the African Continental Free Trade Area, or Afcfta, an initiative aimed at reshaping Africa's financial landscape and redefining its future on a global stage.
Clearly, if the Afcfta is to succeed, we need to have your leadership. We have immense challenges, but we also have, our challenges are also our opportunities. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I come to meet with you, sir, to meet with your team, so that we can explore the opportunities together.
The Afcfta was conceived to address a persistent challenge, Africa's fragmented trade environment. Despite the continent's combined GDP of $3.4 trillion, intra-African trade accounted for less than 18% of total exports, and contracts to higher intra-regional trade figures in Europe and Asia.
We supported the linkage of the Nigerian own module to the regional SIGMAT system. Prior to this, GIZ has collaborated with the NCS, a host of other projects, amongst which is the Promoting Trade in West Africa project, abbreviated WATE. The other one was the Sustainable Economic Development of Nigeria program, with a sub-component called Strengthening Nigeria's Trade Support Institution, SNTSI. And one of the hallmarks of this collaboration was a visit of a number of Nigerian Customs Service officers, I think it was 19, to Hamburg with the German Customs. It was a visit that lasted about a week. And I'm sure that with this, we rightfully own our title of traditional partners, even though we remain future partners. So, thank you. So that said, there are potential for future or continued collaboration, especially in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And this falls within the framework of the project that I have the privilege to manage, the Afcfta support project. Secondly, we are ready to support, to work with the Nigerian Customs Service in the effective implementation of the Electronic Certificate of Origin. Some people abbreviate it as ECO. Thirdly, but not the least, continued implementation of the SIGMA, that is the Customs Interconnection Software.
Since the establishment of the Afcfta, Nigeria has diversified their export markets such that the largest export region for Nigeria no longer is Europe, the US, other parts of the world. It is now Africa. This certainly underscores the relevance of the Afcfta in the context that I am describing, that continues to be rapidly changing. And so this positive example of how Nigeria was able to reconfigure her own export market towards the African continent certainly is a positive step in the right direction for all of Afcfta state parties. Let me conclude, Excellency, by briefly setting out some of our successes based on our collaboration, the implementation of the MOU that we signed in 2021. We now have established a private sector unit that is fully operational, that will support small medium enterprises, particularly those that are led by women. Second, we will have a focus on a simplified trade regime to enable transit of goods across borders efficiently and affordably. We also have had a focus on agriculture, fisheries products in particular. And finally, we have achieved and recorded success on infrastructure development and various interventions that were made to boost customs systems at the border.
This situation led 44 African leaders to convene in Kigali, Rwanda in 2018, where they signed the Afcfta agreement, which came into force in May 2019, marking a historic commitment to creating a single continental market. The agreement became operational January 1st, 2021, making Afcfta the world's largest free trade area by participating countries, encompassing 1.3 billion people and uniting 54 African nations under a shared economic vision.
World Bank has projected that within 15 years of implementation of Afcfta, we should be having an increase in the size of our markets, talking about the fact that we are projecting 80% increase in the share of trades, projecting over 1 million people out of poverty, and more importantly, 450 billion GDP. So this all stands very, very, very promising, and this is why, as concerned stakeholders, we must really, really commend and support the efforts that the Secretariat is making to fast-track and accelerate the implementation of the agreement.
The Afcfta aims to eliminate tariffs on 90% of goods, streamline cross-border trade, and harmonize trade regulations, with the goal of increasing intra-African trade by over 50% within the next decade. This framework is expected to create jobs, accelerate industrialization, and make African businesses more competitive. Historically, Africa has depended on exporting raw materials, limiting its economic growth. The Afcfta seeks to change this by encouraging value addition and manufacturing within the continent, aiming for a self-sustaining economic ecosystem where Afcfta produces goods and services.
The best thing that can happen to Africa is for Africans to leverage on Afcfta. The market is here. It's an opportunity for Africans to optimize the opportunities of trading within ourselves. Instead of waiting for products from third parties, that is from Europe, from Americas, from anywhere, you can produce here and you will have consumers here. And all we need to do here is to simply optimize our processes, optimize our products so that our products can compete with the products from third party. If we don't do that, you will have a situation where the third parties will come into the territory, produce and sell to us.
Nigeria, one of Africa's largest economies, plays a pivotal role in the formation of Afcfta. With a population exceeding 200 million and abundant natural resources, Nigeria is well positioned to lead sectors such as agriculture, technology, services, and manufacturing. The Afcfta opens new markets for Nigerian businesses, particularly benefiting small and medium-sized enterprises, which make up over 90% of Nigeria's business landscape.
Today, in this prestigious hall, I stand before you to demonstrate how those commitments have evolved into tangible achievements. The pledge was comprehensive and ambitious, modernizing our processes through a one-stop solution for cargo alerts, revolutionizing our ICT infrastructure, streamlining inspection procedures, and embracing automation for enhanced efficiency. We committed to reimagining our free trade zone operations, elevating cargo integrity standards, and expanding our scanning capacities. Above all, we promised to usher in a new era of customs operations, one built on transparency, efficiency, and genuine collaboration with our partners. This improvement goes beyond metrics. It also represents new changes in how we facilitate trade across borders. We have expanded our focus beyond traditional import operations to actively support exporters and nurture recognition of our innovative approaches, which has led to our invitation to share our experience at the prestigious Biashara African Forum in Kigali last month. Recognition culminated in an historic milestone, and that was Nigeria's first shipment of exports under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, making our country's practical commitment to continental trade integration.
Since its inception, the Afcfta has achieved significant milestones. Over 45 countries have ratified the agreement, and systems like the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System are simplifying cross-border transactions by allowing payments in local currencies. Trade corridors are expanding and regional value chains are strengthening, fostering collaboration among African nations. Nigeria has taken the giant steps to solidify its role in the Afcfta. One notable achievement was facilitating Nigeria's first shipment under the Afcfta framework. Lucky Fibers, a subsidiary of the Tolaram Group, exported goods to Kenya under the Guided Trade Initiative. This was coordinated by the Nigeria Afcfta Coordination Office and facilitated by the Nigeria Customs Service as the designated component authority for issuance of Certificate of Origin to ensure compliance with Afcfta provisions, showcasing Nigeria's commitment to intra-African trade.
Okay, for the past 2 years, Nigeria Customs Service, in collaboration with development partners like the World Customs Organization, the IMF, the EU, have conducted serious capacity building programs for officers and economic operators on rules of origin, which is the key components of the Afcfta. And the peak of this training culminated in training regional and national experts by WCO. And these experts, they are currently developing sensitization materials for the economic operators and the general public at large. So all this capacity building has sensitized them on what they need to do, the requirements, and everything that will enable them to have a seamless export trade under the agreement.
Nigeria's first Afcfta-backed cargo shipment to Kenya, completed by Lucky Fibers, a subsidiary of the Tolaram Group, set the pace for deeper regional integration. Building on that momentum, the Nigeria Customs Service recently flagged off the Nigeria East/Southern Africa Air Cargo Corridor at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The new corridor links Nigeria to Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa through direct cargo flights, offering significant reductions in freight costs and improved market access for exporters.
This air corridor is not just a pilot, it is a pathway, a new pathway for all African MSMEs to enter and expand across Africa with greater confidence, lower costs, and shorter time frames and reduced risk. Tomorrow, we'll be launching a powerful Afcfta market insights and intelligence tool developed in collaboration with UNDP to help businesses decode regulatory requirements and identify trends in East and Southern African countries. It's a complete package. I would like to thank Nigeria's leading business groups for their close collaboration in coordinating credible exporters for this air cargo corridor. Today, they export a diverse product basket: textiles, bags, cosmetics, agro-processed products, and more to our African partners. This administration will continue to stand with you and to take you bigger and bolder as you leap and expand your footprint across Africa.
The success of this flag off today of the corridor requires collaboration beyond Nigeria Customs Service. It will require the assistance and the collaboration of all the agencies that are involved, not just Nigeria Customs Service, the Federal Airport Authority, all the other regulatory agencies, NAFDAC, and all of them. We hope that we will see this as a window of opportunity to facilitate trade. I want to use this medium to commend Ugandan Airlines and all the other aviation partners for seizing this opportunity to enhance continental connectivity. Beyond aviation, I call upon shipping companies and the operators in the maritime and land domain to key into this so that we can give real meaning to African trade.
However, challenges remain. Afcfta faces issues such as inadequate infrastructure, non-tariff barriers, and segmented regulatory frameworks. Addressing these challenges will require collective effort and strategic planning. Investments in infrastructure, capacity building, and regulatory harmonization are crucial for unlocking the agreement's transformative potential.
Now, like I used to ask, are we there? The answer is no. But are we making progress? The answer is a resounding yes. Are we there yet? Not at all, but we will get there. How soon? Then I like to say, Afcfta is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So it comes down to each of state parties to now define what are my priorities. We just have to come to an understanding that one, we need to have commitment to the Afcfta, and then we need to prioritize what is our focus, and then we begin to take that step gradually, and then we begin to measure. I can give you an example. So far, Nigeria, when we joined the Guided Trade Initiative, it was like, how will it pan out? How will this happen? But guess what? The feedback that we have gotten from two companies that have taken their consignment to Kenya, one of them is actually saving more than $300,000 of that particular product. That is what Afcfta offers. The second one, we are trying to do that statistics now, which will also be out as well. So it is going to be on the basis of commitment priority and strategizing around those priorities. And we will be there to take the advantage of AFCFTA. So I personalize it because I see Africa that I want in the context of industrialization. Africa that I want, I see it in the context of job creation. Africa that I want, I see it in the context of infrastructure enhancement. Because all this comes to the fore while the instrument of AFCFTA is a precursor to the development in these areas. And again, it comes to the fore how East State parties are playing around the AFCFTA and the entire protocols.
The Afcfta symbolizes African unity, resilience, and ambition. It represents a shared vision of prosperity, where African nations work together to create an interconnected continent capable of standing strong in the global economy. As Nigeria and the continent move forward, this agreement holds the promise of a brighter, more prosperous Africa.
First and foremost, the AFCFTA trade regime is a landmark initiative for promoting trade and economic relations among African nations. It seeks to address, or it aims at creating a single market for the trade in goods and services across the African continent, with a market size of about 1.2 billion people and a combined GDP of over $3 trillion. And if this is achieved, it's going to give African exporters access to large markets across the continent. It will also enhance competitiveness among them. It will develop their investments, and it will stimulate economic growth. And when economic growth is stimulated, new jobs will be created, poverty will be reduced, and we move away from depending on, like for Nigeria, we move away from depending only on oil as our source of revenue to be diversified, and that will bring about the much needed foreign exchange that will help us in taking care of all other developments.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is more than a policy. It is a movement, a commitment, and a promise. For Nigeria, for Africa, and for future generations, Afcfta is a beacon of hope and a catalyst for change. The journey to a prosperous, interconnected Africa has just begun, and its story is one we are all part of shaping.